Good afternoon, Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're coming to you again with our next part of the series of the Nag Hammadi scriptures. We're in the secret book of John, and we're looking at the secondary structures of the divine mind. Rave reviews on this little teaching series, so we hope that those will continue. And we certainly hope that you will enjoy it. Many people say it's life-changing. So please get on your social media, your Facebook, your Twitter, etc., etc. Hey, check this guy out. He talks about some interesting stuff. Let me know what you think. Put the URL to my to this channel right here, my YouTube channel. A lot of work. Not a lot of sleep. I'm adjusting to my polyphasic schedule, so if I'm a little slow on the uptake, you know why, but it's great. I love it. It really makes a big difference, and a positive one in my life. So, secondary structures of the divine mind, and if you want to know about the primary structures, well, this is part of a playlist, so you can certainly go and check that out and avail yourself of it. The Father looked into Barbello, which is wisdom. So the Father looked into the invisible spirit of wisdom, and the Father is the inexpressible one. And when the inexpressible one looked into wisdom, conceived in wisdom was a spark of light. And the spark of light that was conceived in wisdom had a blessedness that was similar to, but not quite equal to, the amazing blessedness of wisdom personified, who I believe we can really call Sophia. And I have a very positive affinity with Sophia. Not that Sophia did everything right or perfect, but I think Sophia is on the good guy's side. So the only offspring of that mother-father, and here's where you can see big-time Christianity, Pauline Christianity, Roman Catholicism, Roman Protestantism, twisting and attempting to vainly grab at straws to justify a fairy tale. The only offspring of that mother-father, which is the inexpressible one, in pure wisdom, having a light baby, the only offspring, the only begotten child of the pure light, the pure Father, that was this light that was born from the union of the inexpressible one and wisdom, female wisdom personified. So male divinity and female divinity produces the light. And it's interesting because what did the Christ say? The Christ said, I am the light of the world. I am the light. And this just came into my mind, this whole thing about when you die, go to the light. It's not talking about going to the light that looks like light. It's talking about going to the actual Christ and not falling for the foolishness of heaven and the ludicrosity of hell. But the invisible virgin spirit celebrated the light that had been produced, coming forth from the first power who is. So the Christ came from the providence. The Christ came from the wisdom. And the Spirit anointed him with goodness, making him perfect. And there's no reason why the Christ would not be perfect, for he was a union of the inexpressible male deity and the inexpressible female deity. So he lacked no goodness whatsoever. He was anointed with the best of both of the male and the female, the best of all divinity. And he stood in the presence, and it just poured through him. It just poured upon him. And it reminds me of Christ saying, I will take everything that I've learned from the Father, and I will teach it unto you. He didn't say he'd do it in one sitting. And that's where we get impatient, and we get silly, and we get stupid. But he will take whatever the Father has shown him. See how much it makes perfect sense? And he will give it unto us. And having received this anointing, he immediately glorified the inexpressible one. And if you remember the Christ talking about, I can do nothing apart from my Father. I am come here to represent my Father. My words and my truths come from my Father. And that's not the rat bastard. Not the Lord. Let me say that again. The Lord is not the Father of the Christ. Jehovah is not the Father of the Christ. Marduk is not the Father of the Christ. The Lord, capital L-O-R-D, is not the Father of the Christ. Yaldabaoth is not the Father of the Christ. The rat bastard is not the Father of the Christ. The inexpressible one is the Father of the Christ. And he glorified wisdom because he had come into being. And then he asked for a mind to be a companion to him. And the Spirit consented. And when the invisible Spirit consented, mind came into being. It stood by the anointed and glorified the Spirit and Barbello. Does this mean that individuality and individual right and choice and free moral agency came into being? He wished to act. See? Mind comes into being. And once mind comes into being, he wishes to act. He takes a intentional, volitional step forward of his own will and volition. The exact opposite of what we saw yesterday with the Lord. If you look up that teaching, the Lord's Prayer, the shepherd and his sheep. That's where you do what you're told, when you're told, where you're told, how you're told. Just like modern day, big time Roman Catholicism, big time Roman Protestantism. So he wished to act, and this is how it is when you know you're dialed in. When you wish to act through the Word, and when you wish to act through the invisible Spirit, whose will, when your will becomes an action and appears glorifying the light, brother, sister, cousin, that's how you know when you're starting to get a little bit of correct traction in your life, when your wishes, when your will becomes aligned with divine mind, when your wishes, your will, your actions are those that would undoubtedly glorify the light. And then the Word followed will into being. This is talking about the Christ. John chapter 1, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. The same was with the Elohim in the beginning. And then that Word, for some reason within his own volitional will, decided, I should come down here and manifest myself as an avatar, as a Christ, as a man God, as a God walking among men. And I'm convinced that the Christ did not only come to Judea for 3.5 years. If you look at his teachings have elements that spring from the Sumerians. His teachings have elements that spring from the halls of the wisdom of Egypt. His teachings have essence that springs from the wisdom of the faiths of the East, the wisdom of the faiths of Africa, the wisdom of the faiths of the islands at sea, the wisdom of the faiths of Mesoamerica, South America, North America. His wisdom can be found in faiths of the Northern European and the Eastern European faiths. So when the Christ said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life, nobody gets to the Father but by West Side Baptist Church. That's the way they teach it. What he was saying was, in the original Greek, I brought you the best of all the ways. I brought you the best of all the truths. And I have put them into a system of learning, a group of spiritual technology, if you will, that if you follow it and apply it, you can now do what used to take lifetimes of reincarnation. You can now do it in a single lifetime. That's why he came into being. The one who created everything through the Word, as John 1:1 says. In the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. There was nothing that was created that was not created by him. Now you tell me that John wasn't a Gnostic. When the Gnostic secret book of John lines up perfectly with the unsecret Gospel of John, and even though John Lash Lamb, or Lamb Lash, I forgot his name, doesn't like to hear it, John even talked about the organic light in his Gospel. Everlasting life, everlasting will. You cannot have everlasting life until you are working, living, growing, and being through your own volition. Until you get rid of the lie that says I'm filled with original sin, I need somebody else to guide me. You realize I'm filled with the spark of divinity within, and I will walk through this world learning and going and growing with my mind, with my foreknowledge. I will let them stand together. The invisible, inexpressible one. The invisible, for the most part, personification of wisdom. And because of her, they had come into being. We have to realize that the Gnostics had great respect, the Christ had great respect for the feminine. And it's not because the feminine is better than the masculine, but it's because they knew through their infinite wisdom that the feminine was going to be suppressed, and it was already being suppressed. Judaism suppresses the feminine, and the Christianity that Paul had cooking. The Lord, the Elohim could smell what the Lord had cooking, and they knew that it was going to repress femininity. So they made sure that they emphasized femininity, so we would be able to know that you can't really have the divine mind unless you have the masculine portion of it as well as the feminine portion of it. It's called balance. Balance, it's a wonderful thing. And it works every time it's tried. So that is our discussion about the secondary structures of the divine mind. And we even have coming up on tomorrow tertiary structures of the divine mind. If you don't know what tertiary means, go ahead and look it up. And just a word to the wise, any and every time you're reading something and you come to a word that you don't understand, if you just go past it, you have dramatically reduced your ability to understand anything from that point on. So always stop, clear that word, get it straight in your mind, understand what it means before you go on, so you can take in all the knowledge that you're trying to take in. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. I'm encouraging you to subscribe to this channel, like this channel, share this channel. What do you mean? I mean, get on your social media, YouTube. Get on your Facebook. Get on your Twitter. Get on your Tinder. Get on your the ones with Instagram and your Pixlr. It's not Pixlr. What's it called? You know what I'm talking about. All those ones that you do. Get on there. Put the URL to this channel and say, hey, check this dude out. He's talking about some cool stuff. Let me know what you think. Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. I'm here to help you unwind your mind and unindoctrinate yourself.